We're talking about analyzing graphs of polynomial functions, and we're talking about identifying even and odd functions. And so algebraically, if we want to test if functions are even or functions are odd, this is the test that they need to pass. And so what does that mean? It means that if you substitute negative x into the original function, it is still the same function that we had before. So if we're checking for even, we know that the highest degree needs to be an even degree. So if we're talking about the function f of x equals x squared, so that's the original function. And so the test to see if it's even would say if the function evaluated at negative x is equal to, so what we do is we substitute negative x into where x was, so that's negative x squared. Well, what does that really mean? Let's say that we have the value of 3 squared. What is 3 squared? That is 9. Well, what about if we say negative 3 squared? That is also equal to 9 because a negative times a negative is still a positive. So whenever we have a negative value raised to an even power, the negative doesn't really affect what the graph is going to, or affect the outcome. It still is going to make it positive. So the function evaluated at negative x in this case is still just x squared. So because f of x equal to x squared and f of negative x is also equal to x squared, that means that f of x is equal to the function f evaluated at negative x. Now let's take a look at maybe an odd function. So an odd function, we know that the highest degree needs to be an odd exponent. And so what we're trying to test if it's an odd function is we want to see, is the function f evaluated at negative x, is that equal to negating the entire function? And so what we can look at here is we can look at, instead of x squared, we want to look at f of x, and we're going to say that's equal to x cubed. Okay. So in this case, if we substitute a negative value, let's say f of negative x into x cubed, what happens to the function? So let's think about that. If we substituted negative 3 into and cubed it, we would still have the negative, because negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and then multiplied by negative 3 again, and we get negative 27. So the function evaluated at negative x of x cubed, that becomes f of negative x equals negative x cubed. Now, if we negate the entire function, what does that mean? So negative f of x is equal to, well, we take the whole function, which is negative x cubed, and we negate it. So when we distribute that negative sign in, we get negative f of x is equal to negative x cubed. And so now we have to check the negative, the entire function f of x, and the entire function, or excuse me, f of negative x substituted in, are those two the same? In this case, they are both equal to negative x cubed, so that would make it be an odd function.